Last year I made a video that, when I first uploaded it, I didn't feel too good about. Not because I didn't believe what I was saying, but because, believe it or not, I don't enjoy hating on people. Well, besides NASCAR, I'll hate on them all the livelong day. But hating individuals, people just trying to make their own way, not really my forte. I mean, what right do I have to judge someone like Danica Patrick? She might have drowned in the Cup Series, but at least she made it there to begin with. That's more than most can say. Maybe I was too harsh on her. Maybe I shouldn't have made that video in the first place.
I avoid negativity on social at almost all costs. Almost. But this is the most insensitive, disconnected statement from a guy that I have never liked. And obviously for good reason. I don't care what happened between them, but this is as cold as it gets. A PR rep wrote this guaranteed. You're free from this now, Sherry. Heart.
Never mind, she's a fucking snake and I never want to see her stupid face ever again. Of all the damning, malignant, tone-deaf things to say upon the death of a friend, to attack her life partner out of some misplaced contempt mere hours after her death is just horrible. I don't know their relationship. Maybe Martin stole her lunch money or wouldn't stop interrupting her or something. And I'm sorry that his statement was a little too vanilla for your liking, but who the hell are you to project your opinion not just on him, but the whole world? The man is grieving, and this is what you have to say? Do us all a favor and stay in Formula One. Oh, that's right, nobody wants you there either because you're annoying as hell and you think the government is run by reptiles. So yeah, go join the political activists. I'm sure you'll fit right in. Whew, anyways, today I want to talk about a female NASCAR driver who actually won something, and for a short while seemed to earn the praise she was given. Her time in the sport was short but impactful, and while the end result wasn't pretty, it seems to cloud our recollections on just how much potential she really had. So let's take a look back at the rise and fall of NASCAR's newest femininomenon, Hailie Deegan. Sorry, I couldn't even say that with a straight face. No, I'm actually talking about Hailie Deegan, who has a pretty big presence on YouTube, and that's something we have in common. Being YouTubers, not making it to the Cup Series. Just gonna move that one over. Hailie's had quite the career, but it does have a giant Cup Series-shaped hole, which, while unsurprising to us now, could have come as a shock just 5 years ago. Back in her early days, it seemed like there was nowhere to go but up. The daughter of motocross legend Brian Deegan, Hailie had racing in her blood. She started off following in Dad's footsteps, racing bikes and trophy carts on the dirt. But by the time she was getting her learner's permit, she decided to put the rubber to the road, not just in her driver's test, but in her racing as well. She started off racing legends and late models, making her debut in the 2016 Bojangles Summer Shootout. She didn't do very well, and didn't really impress in the Cars Tour either, but she must have done something, because come the following year, she was included in the NASCAR Next class of 2017, which included names like Harrison Burton, Riley Herbst, and Ty Majeski. Also interesting they'd put these two next to each other. Despite the rocky start, Hailie was here to stay, and her first big break would come a lot sooner than expected, as in 2018 she signed to run full-time in the ARCA Series West, driving for the 3-time defending championship team, Bill McAnally Racing. As first-time rides go, this was a pretty good one, but Hailie was still young, the youngest in the class as a matter of fact. There was a lot to prove, and while her handful of starts in the East Series did no such thing, she would find her place as one of the best in the West. In her very first start at Kern County Raceway, she finished 7th. A decent start, but where she really left her mark was in her impression on NASCAR Cup champion Kevin Harvick.
I got to race with her for a little bit there at the end of the race, and she did a great job in the car. So, I think as far as potential and reach and just racing knowledge and getting in a car as young as she is, that would be the one that I would pluck out of the series.
As the season carried on, the results just got better. Barring a pair of accidents at Iowa and Gateway, she kept the car in the top 10 for the entire rest of the schedule. Now granted, most of those races only fielded about 20 cars anyways, but still, she was in the top half in her first year of stock car racing. And once the second half was underway, that potential produced results. On her return to the dirt, she would pick up her first career pole award, becoming the first female to claim pole position in ARCA history, though her hot lapping wouldn't translate to race pace, as she would plummet all the way back to 6th with just a few laps to go. But a late caution would bunch the field up for a restart, and if you know anything about ARCA, you probably know what happens next.
And Rouse spins Kraus.
After her teammates decided they didn't like each other anymore, leader Christopher Bell was black flagged for jumping the restart, and while the world around her devolved into anarchy, Hailie quietly picked off one more spot to finish in 2nd, her second runner-up of the year. While it was frustrating to have to settle once again, this time behind future truck champion Sheldon Creed, her performances instilled hope that it wasn't a matter of if she could win, but when. The next race at Meridian would be a runaway for the 3 McAnally drivers, Deegan, Rouse, and Kraus, who, after leading 189 of the 208 laps, decided the best way to avoid a spinning car would be to crash into him. Remember, this is ARCA we're talking about. Cole Rouse would take point on the final restart, though neither of his teammates would let him get away. As the laps ticked down, the three stayed in tandem, separating themselves from the rest of the pack. It would all come down to the last lap, where, likely to avoid the wrecked car sitting on the bottom of the racetrack, the 99 left the inside lane wide open. And that, along with the officials ignoring said wrecked car, is all Deegan needed.
Trouble in front of him, and now she's going to get into the back end of Rouse. Hailie Deegan to the lead. Can she maintain it through 3 and 4? Here comes Rouse back. No! Score one for the ladies. Hailie Deegan wins in Meridian.
And just like that, it was done. Hailie Deegan, more than being the first woman to win a NASCAR Pro Series race, was a winner. And while she only led one lap the whole night, it was the only lap that mattered. And if you're feeling bad for Cole Rouse, don't worry, he would get his win in the following race. But this year was about Hailie. After notching one more pole in the season finale, she would wrap up her rookie campaign with a 5th place points finish and ARCA West Rookie of the Year honors. Quite the start, considering this was her first full season on asphalt, and come 2019, things would only get better. In the very first race of the new season, Deegan came out swinging, taking her matte black monster Toyota all the way from 9th place to the front of the field. Unlike her last trip to Vegas, however, this time she would get the job done, taking the win in familiar fashion.
Here comes Hailie! Inside! Hailie Deegan shoving her way past the 6!
And by virtue of this win, she would pick up one more accolade, becoming the first woman to lead the NASCAR points, and she would hold that rank for another week, claiming her 3rd pole award before eventually giving way to Derek Kraus, who would go on to avenge his 2018 campaign. The rest of the season for Hailie was still a net gain, as she would pick up 2 more pole awards and another victory at my home track, the Colorado National Speedway. Care to see how she won that race? Spoiler alert, this would end up being her last NASCAR win, which, knowing that now, makes it such an anomaly. 3 wins at 3 different tracks, but all with the same move made in the same place. It was giving her a reputation of sorts, one of intimidation. We'll get back to that. While she was far from the most promising of her class, a leap in competition was imminent. She was becoming a social media star, almost a household name. Hell, her diecast was being sold right alongside the big boys of the Cup Series. And a 3rd place points finish settled it. In 2020, she would be moving up to the ARCA's headlining series full-time. Though this could have been the first sign of trouble. If you're confused on how the ARCA series work, don't worry, it's really stupid. If NASCAR's national series are the NBA, then this is the G League. And just like NASCAR, ARCA has 3 different divisions: the ARCA Series West, the ARCA Series East, and the ARCA Series. And yes, they all have the same logo, I don't know why, it's really dumb. Winning a NASCAR race at any level is a tall order that most can only dream of. Whether you're at the very top or scrounging for scraps, you're still competing against some of the best race car drivers in the country, and I respect that. But with that being said, if I had to rank each ARCA series by difficulty, it would look like this. Like, I'm not kidding. Look at any 2019 starting lineup in the West versus the East, and it is laughable just how big the discrepancy is. You've got real deal stars and bench warmers. You've got Coca-Cola, and you've got RC. You've got Monster Energy, and you've got Monster Energy. The point is that while Hailie excelled, she didn't have to face the toughest competition, except when she did. Like I said earlier, she did make a few East starts during her full-time seasons in the West, and the results were night and day. So maybe she wasn't ready after all, but who knows, maybe she just needed some seat time. It worked for her in the West, maybe this will be no different, she thought as she switched from Toyota to Ford, from the 19 to the 4, and signed with David Gilliland Racing, who would be attempting their first full season with her. A risk? Maybe, but that would have to be realized, as 2020 would introduce as many new challenges as it did challengers. The season started off with a bang, well, as much as an ARCA race at Daytona can bang, as she was forced to play her part in the choo-choo train and settle for second. She would keep the momentum rolling up until week 6 in Kentucky, where Drew Dollar did what he does best and drove through her, and week 7 in Iowa, where she would blow a tire while battling Ty Gibbs for the lead. These would end up being crushing blows, as she would only score 2 more top 5s in the last 13 races, one of them being another lucky runner-up finish on the dirt. She was good, but finishing 3rd of just 4 full-time drivers, she needed more time. Damn, Drew Dollar sucked. But remember the cautionary tale of Danica Patrick? How they thrust her into the big leagues before she was ready? They couldn't possibly make that mistake again, right? Oh, good lord, they named the race after her. You could tell that NASCAR hadn't learned their lesson. They wanted their female star, and they wanted her now. So literally on the same day that she made her first truck start, where to her credit, she did finish a decent 16th, they announced that she would be moving up to the truck series full-time in 2021. Why do we even bother? Look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. All you need to know is that this is pretty much where her career ended. Like, yeah, she was still out there, but she wasn't really doing anything. In her first year, she could only muster one top 10 at Gateway, a 17th place points finish, and didn't even come close to winning Rookie of the Year. They even took the little teeth off the front of her car, which seemed to take a bite out of her performance. The following year would only get worse, as while she did score 2 more top 10s, her points finish dropped to 21st, falling behind drivers who had started in less than half the races she did. These are results you usually don't come back from. Her NASCAR dreams were dying, but she would get one last break from another top-tier team. The 2013, 2014, 2019, and 2021 Series champions, ThorSport Racing. You can do it! If there was any place she could prove she belonged, it would have to be here, and it would have to be now. At the very least, she had to contend. That was the bare minimum. So how did she do?
Oh no! We suck again!
2023 was basically a mirror image of 22. 2 top 10s and a slightly better points finish, not helped by the fact that her teammates were literally fighting for the championship. Despite all of their differences and everything saying she should have been different, it had finally come full circle. She was Danica Patrick 2.0. And even worse, she was still a whole nother rank from the Cup Series, but there was one last ray of hope. In late 2022, she had made a one-off start in the Xfinity Series at Las Vegas, and lo and behold, despite it being a playoff race and her not really having the best equipment, she still managed an impressive 13th place finish. Maybe she just wasn't cut out for trucking. Maybe she just needed to get back behind the wheel of a car, she thought as she signed to run full-time in 2024 with unproven up-and-comer AM Racing. Yet another risk? Maybe, but her performances in the Truck Series made it clear that this was the best she was going to get, and so they booted Brett Moffitt, who had actually done pretty well for the team in their first year, in favor of Hailie. So how did she do?
Yep, we are absolutely cooked, chat. GG.
In a car that had just come off a season with 9 top 10s, Hailie couldn't nab a single top 10. And if I had to encapsulate her entire year with one shot, it's this. When she had first started, her cavalier style of collecting wins had garnered comparisons to the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt. But here today, driving an Earnhardt throwback scheme, she collected her 3rd DNF in just 11 races. By the halfway point, the team had had enough, and decided to boot her from the seat in favor of eventual Cup champion Joey Logano, who in just 3 starts managed an average finish that was over 8 positions better. And now, it's over. A career that fell off just as fast as it had risen, now merely fodder for recollection. So, is this it? Are we just doomed to seeing a cycle of females fizzling out? I certainly hope not, because I truly believe we will see a competitive she-driver in NASCAR someday. And lest we forget, Hailie is a special case. When Danica Patrick made her first start in a stock car, she was 28, whereas Hailie Deegan is 23 right now. She's still got loads of time left to build a better career, which in stark contrast to Danica, seems to be progressing toward the Indy circuit. And while early practice sessions aren't looking promising, I still have faith that whether it's on the asphalt or more likely the dirt, we will see her return to form. As for NASCAR's future, I'm a little less certain. Not just in general, but regarding the possibility of a gender-neutral lineup. Anyone can be a race car driver, but not everyone wants to. Just look at the demographics of the people watching this video. There is a staggering discrepancy between the amount of dudes interested in the sport and the amount of ladies. And I think part of the reason why is the culture. NASCAR's done a lot to distance itself from the good old boys, but when posts like this are still promoted by people who are supposed to be representing the sport, it's a bad look. Although her response to this is just gold. And while I'd like to think that the majority of fans don't think this way, I've also seen every single comment on that Danica Patrick video. And let me just say, some of y'all need Jesus. And if my comments are that bad, I can only imagine some of the messages she's had to read. And it shouldn't be that way. If the sport wants to find a great female racer, they can't just be a female racer. They have to develop their skills like everybody else, prove that they can hack it at a higher level and not just be used to sell website domains and energy drinks. God damn it, have you learned nothing? Look, if legends like Michelle Mouton taught us anything, it's that a woman can compete at the highest level of motorsport. Given time, I think NASCAR can find its female star. Though if it wasn't Danica, and it wasn't Hailie, then who will it be?